Peace. Islam. Coming at you live from Moors in America. We cover issues pertinent to Moorish Americans from our perspective. Something that's very rare that you're not really going to see anywhere else. And I'm just coming at you to share a quick video from the brother Matheno, Matthews L. He wrote a book which I recommend right here, right? Moorish America's Archival, Palladium. You can get the link in the description. Definitely check that out. Try to maintain some integrity and only recommend books that I've actually written or information that I actually think is helpful. That's why I advise everybody to actually get a copy of the the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, otherwise known as the Circle 7 Quran. Always advise everybody to get the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and also the one-on-ones, right? Or the Quran questions. So definitely check this video out, because this brother's been in the Moorish Divine and National Movement for decades. Okay, so a lot of wisdom in there, and it's always a pleasure when someone with that much experience and wisdom is willing and open enough to share with us. Okay, so I'm just saying this just to put things in the proper perspective. Okay, so when the brother's speaking, listen. And even if you don't agree with the information, just take it in stride and maybe even self-examine yourself, because some of us have been dealing with information that's faulty, that's not exactly what you think it is. Okay, and there's even people out here who are very well respected, who've been teaching information and putting information out there that's not actually in alignment with the Moorish Divine and National Movement as brought forth by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So once again, every Moor should get a copy of that book, and every Moor should watch this video and share. And if you go back and peruse through here, there's other videos too by the same brother, Matthew Zell. So go back, check those out too. Plenty of wisdom in it. And I'd say check every last one of them out. Click like and share. Just spread it, okay? Because it's time. The Moors are waking up, and you need to know the foundation. You need to know what is really real. So I think it's very important. And that's why I'm here, and that's why this brother's here and sharing with us. And that's why I'm saying, don't just watch this, also share it, because it's not good enough just for a handful of us to know. We all need to know this information and share it and live on it. Okay, stand on it. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So make sure you watch this and share. Peace.
Islam Moors. Wanted to give honor this morning to the Moor that raised me back in the 70s, mid-70s, Brother Lee Ill, Islam Moor. That Moor, he didn't come out of the temple, per se. He came out of the prison. And back in those days, they had significant numbers of Moors and other groups that operated in the institutions. And the Moors were powerful. And I remember when he came out, when I first met him, and he began to just work with me a little bit. I don't know why. He worked with me and helped me to get my foundation built in understanding Prophet Drew Ali's teachings, or Islamism, or the science of religion, Islam. And he taught me something back then that it took a long time for me to really see or perceive, to comprehend, to understand. And he said, Mo, a wise man plays the role of a fool, but the fool cannot play the role of a wise man. A wise man plays the role of a fool, but a fool cannot play the role of a wise man. And I would say 40 years later, I heard a quote that kind of went along with that. And I could understand both of them by this time crystal clear. And that quote is that a smart man or a smart person learns from his own mistakes, but a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. Islam? And I was thinking about how the Prophet Ali said that men are racing into this life without, any real knowledge of where they're going. I'm kind of paraphrasing this, or what the end will be. Men love to follow and not to lead. So I'm going to go quickly to chapter 4 of your record, Death and Burial of Elizabeth, Matheno's Lessons, the Ministry of Death. And when you get over to verse 14, it says, men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow and not to lead. They don't like to be innovative. They like to imitate or follow other people, especially if they think those people are successful or knowledgeable or whatever. They'll follow them. But the problem is they'll follow them not knowing where they're going or what the end will be. They need a pattern. They got to follow somebody. Everybody used to want to be like Mike. I remember that. It was, and I'm be honest, I used to try to play a little basketball. I think I'm 5'5", 5'5" or 5'6". And I wanted to be like Mike too. He was a great basketball player. But it was only one Mike. And even as we look at it today, they have players that they consider to be great or like Mike or whatever. Now you look at Kobe Bryant. He wasn't like Mike. He was like Kobe. Even LeBron James. I got new love for LeBron James. But he's LeBron. He's not Mike, and he's not Kobe. He's a whole different player with a whole different skill set. Men need a pattern. People need something to imitate. And the prophet said, imitate I the prophet. If you want a pattern, here's your pattern. He says, the man who stands upon the corners of the path and points the way but does not go is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. You ever seen those? I guess probably in a movie or something, you'll see an old wooden sign or something pointing how many miles it is to this town or that town or whatever. You could write that on a block of wood and have an arrow pointing that way. And he's saying that when you have people who are telling you what you should be doing, but they're not doing it, then you could write those instructions on a block of wood. And it takes a while for us to mature. It takes a while, and this is an ongoing thing. This does not stop. This is what they call the school of lifelong learning. It doesn't stop. Now, if you see people, and I've watched this, don't like to watch too much of it because it causes confusion. Not for me, but it's causing confusion. That you got some people out here that are telling our people, well, you need to do this, or you need to follow that paperwork, or they have no jurisdiction, or you need to correct your status, and blah, 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 blah. And people are getting locked up. They gave one sister 7 years in jail. And I mean, I don't like to see this. But this is not something that people are coming up with for themselves. Someone is feeding them with wind and putting the money in their pocket. And the thing about it is that it's sad because in most instances that I've seen, Asiatics are going to court for minor violations. It could be a minor traffic ticket or something. They talk about the right to travel. Everybody's got the right to travel. But come on. You don't need no driver's license. I want to know that the person driving down the road with me has been certified and proven that they can operate that vehicle. I drove a tractor trailer for like almost 25 years. At least 33 different states that I would travel to. I want to know that this person next to me has a CDL license and they have been tested and proven to know how to operate this vehicle. I remember being in Chicago. It was years ago. It was winter time. You know how Chicago in the winter. Chicago. And I was going to, I think it was the Fulton Street Market, but I had never been there before. So, of course, I got lost. So I'm riding around just a couple of block area trying to find this market. And of course, the snow and ice was everywhere. So I'm taking my time because I got this big truck. And I'm like, I have no idea where I messed up at with my directions. But I happened to look in my mirror and I noticed it was another truck following me with a couple Europeans in it. So I just thought, well, maybe they're going the same way because they had a refrigeration unit. Maybe they're going the same place. So I stopped and they stopped and I got out and walked back to them and asked them, I said, well, I'm trying to find the Fulton Street Market. And they said in this broken English, I think they may have been Russian or something. They said, well, they were looking for the same Fulton Street Market and they was following me because they thought I knew where I was going. And I said, no, I have no clue where I got myself at. I said, well, let's go back around again and maybe we'll hit the right street, which we did. Hit the right street and we were able to go under the L and come down and make that left, make two lefts and come back up Fulton Street Market. But my point is, they could have followed me all night. I didn't know where I was going. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot, I don't think, of common sense. When you see these Asiatics that are like I said, they're getting locked up and everything else, and none of their paperwork is working. Now, I've seen some people claim it worked, but just pay the ticket and move on with life. But they make a federal case out of it. Why? Because they're following somebody else who's not going that way themselves and selling them bogus information, because that's what it is, that does nothing but destroy their lives. Now, if you want to destroy your life, that's fine. But don't try to tell me that I have to agree with you or do what you're doing. Been down that road. Been down that road. And I'm not even sure that a lot of these Asiatics were even born 40 years ago. I don't think so. It might be in their 20s or something like that. But someone has convinced them to go that way. And like I said, the European has got to the point where he's just going to make it, okay, if you want to make it a federal case, fine. He's going to make it a federal case. The point being, as he says next, the teacher treads the way. On every span of ground, he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see, and be assured that he, their master, went that way. People need a pattern, they need an example, but you have to have some wisdom. And wisdom comes with living and learning, and more importantly, listening. When I was I was a little radical. That's how I know. And older people would try to talk. They couldn't tell me nothing. They tried, but I was so rebellious and angry and full of rage and hate, they couldn't get nothing in me. And there came a point where they said, okay, go ahead. Okay? They came to that point, okay, young man, we have been down that road years ago, decades ago. I know some of the young Asians come on groups and just, they cuss people out with the foulest language and calling them niggas and everything else on a Moorish site. You haven't lived anything yet. But if you want to go that way, have at it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because the prophet said everybody is not going to be saved anyway. You got a lot of people that don't want to do the right thing. That's the bottom line. Now, we all going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're human. But they want to do things and not be held accountable for their actions. You don't need driver's license. Matter of fact, I think some of them, you don't even need a tag on your car. And what amazes me, and I thought what amazes me about all of this going on, is that courts have now come up with a phrase called paper terrorists. Because you're filing all this paperwork and filing liens against people, and you're not a lawyer, so you halfway know what you're talking about at best. At best, you might halfway know what you're talking about. Know nothing about procedures in the courtrooms. That's the way it is. When you go for a arraignment, you don't go there to argue your case. You go there to plead, to enter a plea. That's pretty much what that's for. Guilty or innocent. These age addicts is going into court and breaking out fighting. You know? And then, like I said, it's a minor thing. But the teacher, because I've been there, done that. And it was only by the goodness of Almighty God that I didn't throw my life away. One of the areas where I think that our people really struggle, especially the brothers, is that in many instances, like myself, I was raised by a single parent, a mother. So you're not getting that balance. And there's nothing wrong. Well, I love women to death. Women can be emotional. So we're infused a lot of times, unless we have really mature parents or a mother or whatever. My mother was young. So there's a lot of emotional reaction to situations that occur in life. And normally, the man is there to support her so that she has that security that everything is going to be okay and everything is going to be taken care of. But we haven't had that. And I think that's a lot of brothers are going out and not knowing how to deal with things as men, but having anger and emotional reactions to things. I remember the sister who passed now, but she had such an issue with one of her children's father that, she talked about him like he was no good whatsoever, never did anything for the boy, and on and on and on, all of the kid's life. And then when the kid became a grown man, and his father was living somewhere else or whatever, but he died, passed away or whatever. Then she starts telling him, oh, well, he used to send all this money, and I was like, but women can have emotional reaction to things, especially when you deal with the type of struggle that our sisters got to deal with. They shouldn't have to deal with that. And I'm a firm believer. Until brothers stand up and be men in the house and in the family, you will not be respected as a man anywhere else. I mean, we've all made mistakes. So, I don't know what has transpired in anyone's life that may hear this. But you have to take responsibility. The man is the authority, and he represents the power of the home and the protection of the home. And if there's anything threatening, that brother is supposed to go and deal with it. And unfortunately, because when I was coming up, most men, brothers didn't pay no child support. They had babies and kids everywhere. And they're running all over the place, bringing kids into this world to face this world, with just the help of their mother, with that man not being there to face his responsibilities. Now, I know what happened in slavery. I'm not crying about slavery. That's over with for a lot of people. I don't think it's over with for everybody, but pretty much over with. But the system and the institutions that are in that system, they're going to take advantage of your mistakes. When you go the wrong way, they're going to take advantage of it. So then you become a enslaved to the child welfare agency or whatever. family court or whatever transpires. They're taking your finances, and you don't want, look, if you don't want to be with the woman, you still obligated to help take care of that child. It might be a free country, but everything's not free. It's your responsibility. And if you fail in that, I don't believe that the good Lord of the universe will bless you. You'll just keep right on going the wrong way. You'll keep right on doing the wrong thing. A lot of brothers do stay there. I remember I lived on a block, and my wife and I, it was three married couples, but eventually we were the only married couple on the block. In fact, it's sad, but when I would go out to go to work, nobody else went to work. I ain't seen that, rarely, you know. But if this situation gets corrected, you got to be a man to stay there. If you want to really know what it's like to be a man, stay there with your family and take care of them children and raise them. You don't have to give them everything they want, but you just supply what they need. Protect that family. My kids used to walk the street. They go over to walk to the store at night. The police never bothered them when they were young, because they knew whose kids they were. And they knew, well, they probably better off dealing with us than dealing with him. So we're just not, you know what I mean? And they knew that, you know what I mean, how I taught them kids. And went out and tried to be an example. That's all you got to do. But following somebody else, because you got a lot of brothers that did this for years and blame the European. So the proverbial white man is doing. No, he's not. He's home taking care of his children. Oh, I know, Europeans that don't take care of kids, but overall, I'm gonna tell you, overall, they do. There's nobody stopping us, and I think until we do that, the prophet was married, and I believe that he insisted on leaders being married and responsible. You know, this is not playtime. It's not playtime. You have to grow up and face those responsibilities. And I'll tell you this, just in passing. A lot of young people, unfortunately, you're going to face it now or you're going to face it later. But you're going to face it. You know, I saw, like I was saying, as far as a block of wood or a teacher treading the way, the wise man, a smart person learns from the mistakes of others, but a wise person learns, a smart person learns from their own mistakes, but a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. If you can sit there and see brothers going down the hole, left and right, I remember they cleaned the streets when the crack came in and all that. All the brothers locked up. Now, why would I follow that example when I can see what it's doing? And at this point, I've been blessed because I know most of the brothers that was in my class at school. I only know one of them. Maybe I'll see two. I can think of two of them. The rest of them, life just thrown away, in and out of prison, in and out of prison. And once you have been convicted and locked up, whether you think it's right or wrong, and you get out, they're going to watch you to see what pattern you pick up, what direction you go. Some people come out of an institution, rebuild their lives. Others come out, go right back to what they were doing, following that same pattern.